So today I want to talk about the important subject of the relationship between your brain and your body. Welcome, salam, Farzana. It's nice to see you here right at the beginning. So today we're going to be looking at the relationship between your brain and your body. And I saw, or actually I've been reading a really interesting book, and one of the sentences in it said literally, the brain rules your body. And if you think about this, if you think about the things that you are trying to achieve in your life, and it doesn't matter what it is, right? It can be that you desire to get up at 5 a.m. It can be that you want to get healthier. It can be that you want to start or grow a business. It can be that you want to just get through the day. Whatever it is, the really interesting thing about the relationship between what you desire and the body is that you will find that when you develop the mindset to actually do something, when you put yourself in the position where you kind of say, okay, I'm going to achieve on this thing, I'm going to make this thing happen, your body kind of falls into place. It's going to follow you. It's actually going to support you in the dream that you've set out, or the goal that you've set out to achieve. And so then that makes me beg the question, where are the limits? And I think that most of the time what happens is that we set the limits for ourselves. If you think about the people that are around you who've achieved some really amazing things, and they don't have a track record of having done it, how did they get themselves to that place where they achieved that? You know, like there's a guy called Roger Bannister, and he was the first person to beat, I think it was a 4-minute mile, right? Once he'd done that, then all of a sudden other people started to get faster and faster and faster. I need to look that up, actually. Well, I'm not going to have time now, but I may have to correct myself. But once he'd beaten that mile, or the kind of done that mile in such a quick time, other people started to do the same because the limits had changed. And what's really interesting at the moment is that there's research labs all over the world who are working on actually breaking a 2-hour marathon. That's 26 miles in 2 hours. And what they're saying is that once the first person has done that, then other people will start to break the record quite quickly. And I share that here because once you break your own personal limits in terms of what you're capable of achieving, then you will actually put yourself in a position where you can achieve more and more and more, right? But rather than kind of go crazy, and let's say you are, it's rather than be in a position of somebody who's on the poverty line going and saying, okay, I'm going to become a billionaire. Now, that is an incredibly stretched target. Set yourself something that pushes the boundaries and pushes your limits a little bit. Because once you do that, and then you actually start to see that you could be capable of it, and the self-belief comes in, it's amazing what you'll be able to achieve. So, for example, I like to do a lot of exercise. And over the New Year and the Christmas period, things, I just kind of like lost track a little bit. And so I hadn't run for a few weeks. I hadn't been to the gym for a couple of weeks. And when I went back in, I thought, what do I do? I just went for it. I just thought, I know what my routine used to be. I'm just going to go straight back into that routine, no gently getting into it. And the reason why, and it's been tough, right? But the reason why that worked is because I told myself it was going to work. I said to myself that I was going to be able to do it. I didn't set the limits. So I want you to think about an area in your life where you are setting limits. And it could be that you're doing it subconsciously. You perhaps aren't even aware of it, right? Look at kids that are sitting their exams, and they'll say, oh, I'm only capable of X grade. Let's say if somebody is capable, all of the kind of previous exams and the scoring and everything else demonstrate that they'll achieve a B. But you know what's interesting is they're capable of actually getting an A. They're capable of getting the top grade, but the capacity is being limited because of the things that they are hearing from other people. And this is why I think this quote from Professor Tim Noakes is incredibly powerful. He says, I think great coaches work on the brain. And why I love this from Professor Noakes is because he was an athlete when he was at university. He's been looking a lot at the prevention of diabetes and very interested in low carb, high fat diets. And he's kind of looked at a lot of work in terms of endurance and exercise and health and fitness. And he is saying that great coaches work on the brain. And you know why that's important? Because if you think about it, teachers are also coaches. It's relevant because a great coach is going to make you push your boundaries, right? They will push your limits and stretch you to see where you are capable of. And then once you get to that next phase, because actually then you are a different person, you push again and you keep on pushing. And that's how we develop real growth. There is no point in you looking at where you want to be in 10 years' time from the position that you are in now and saying, well, I'm only capable of this. Because if you set yourself some stretch targets, and if you really push your own ambition and your limit today, then you'll be amazed, and perhaps even you will surpass any expectations that you set yourself for what you could achieve in 10 years' time, because you're doing it from a continually moving place, because you are always changing. When you constantly chasing your best self, you are always moving and improving. And so the kind of the position of your limits changes. Does that make sense? So the question then is, how do you work on your brain? And I would encourage you to really think about a number of different things. I can't go into a lot of detail here in this live, but what I am going to do is I am going to tell you to go and join the Make It Happen Week challenge, because in there we actually are looking at key aspects for how you can work on your brain. Tomorrow's session is all going to be about 10xing energy. And in there, I actually look at kind of habits that people have formed and that people are developing that are holding them back. But once you get the idea and you work things out here, it's very, very powerful what you can actually achieve in reality. And those kind of subtle shifts are very, very small. They're nuanced. So everyone can actually integrate them into their lives. The challenge then is it something that you're going to do? And you work on your brain in a number of different ways. And for example, today's subject was all looking at how you overcome fear. And that video is actually going to be released in about 10 minutes. So if you go over to www.sayada.com and sign up for the Make It Happen challenge, then you'll actually receive that training and you'll work out. You get the training, you also get a workbook, and you'll understand exactly how you can identify where your fears are and what you can do to overcome it. Because once you do that, that's when you start working on your brain, right? And imagine your body, or the limits of your body, are not set by the body. They're actually set by up here. Think about it like this. When you go to, if you've got to run for the bus, right? And I know it's a silly example, but everyone can relate to this one. But if you can imagine having to run for the bus and you think you can't make it because that bus is going to go, right? It all depends on how desperate you are to actually make it. Because you can push yourself, your speed can be so fast, right? And you can actually make the bus. You can run perhaps even at Olympic speed if your life counts on it. So all the motivations are very, very key. And when you are clear on what is driving your need for that result, you will push yourself. And where does that all come from? That doesn't come from your body. Your body becomes the vehicle to deliver the results. It actually all comes from thoughts that you're having. So your mind, your brain is very, very powerful. And I cannot encourage you enough to work out what you need to do for yourself in order for you to use that more effectively. Now, there's so many different things that I could tell you in terms of how you can work on your brain. Getting the right amount of sleep, ensuring that you have a good amount of water, not drinking too much coffee, all of these things that we know, getting the right nutrients and the nutrition, etc. But when you feed your brain, right, you're actually then feeding your body indirectly. One of the things that we take for granted is the impact of oxygen. So we don't actually breathe properly. We tend to slump. And yet, if you start breathing deeply and actually fully taking in the air, holding it, and then breathing out, you allow the kind of oxygen to just kind of rattle around a little bit inside your body. It is much more effective. And there's lots of different breathing techniques that you can do as well to just like literally give yourself a massive hit of oxygen. These are things that you can do that will support your brain to enable you to be much more effective. And when your brain is on fire and it's really, really like crushing it and making very good choices, then your body will follow too. And here's the thing, I think human beings, we're made up of mind, body, and soul. Once you fire your mind up and your body follows, your soul is going to get there too. And you will feel so much more integrated with whatever it is that you're trying to achieve in your life. Don't forget to join the Make It Happen challenge. I'll put a link up on the video for this, both in Instagram and actually Instagram, YouTube, and in Facebook, so you can catch up there. If you've got any questions on anything that I've said, just pop them in the chat right now and I'll pick them up. Otherwise, I will see you later. So let's have a look. I'm coming over to Facebook right now. Assalamu alaikum to Fazana, to Hamida, Syra, lovely to see you again. Hamida saying, I'm currently doing my GCSEs and I've taken my mocks, and seeing the grade does make my confidence go down. So how do I get over that and believe in myself more? Excellent question. I'd say there's two things that you can do, right? The first one is work out what your plan is for how you can up your grade. Consult with your teacher. It's actually interesting because I've been having exactly the same conversation with a young person within the wider family about their expected grades and how they're going to come up with a plan for kind of doing any additional work that is necessary and actually kind of pushing the boundaries on what their expected grade is. Most success in exams comes down to a few things. One is understanding the subject matter. If you don't understand it, that please ask. The only stupid question, in my opinion, that ever exists is a question that is not asked. So ask for help, get the support that you need. That's the first thing. The second thing is come up with an action plan. Identify the subjects that you need to kind of do some more work in and follow through on those. And the third thing is you've got to believe that you're capable of the highest grade that is available. So if you're aiming for a 9 in your GCSEs, you've got to keep reminding yourself that that's what you're capable of doing. And revise. I went into the supermarket the other day, and it was the same supermarket that I remember standing in the queues with my kind of little notes like this in my hand, waiting in the queue to pay when I was 16 years old, revising for my GCSEs. When you take your exams that seriously and you've got your notes ready and you're in any spare moment that you have, you're doing the work, chances are you are setting yourself up to success. Chances are you will overachieve even in terms of the grades that you get, because you understand the subject matter, you're doing the work, and you believe that you are capable of doing it. So I hope that helps. Assalamu alaikum to Raymond, to Omar, to Husna, and to Abashia. I think that's correct. And Fazana, if you've missed some of the live, just kind of go back and just watch the recording, because I'm going to end this one in a couple of seconds there, and then it should be available pretty soon. Over on Instagram, hi to Nads, to Onazafias. I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing any of these incorrectly. You can always kind of like write them out phonetically for me as well. And to Supal Haja, hi. And let's have a look. Okay, I think that's it for today. Do remember to go over to sayada.com and sign up for the Make It Happen challenge. We have got that training on overcoming fears coming out in a couple of minutes, and I will see you over there or in another live soon. Take care, and Assalamu alaikum.